No one wants to say what it is, but all the signs are evident. And evidently, eventually, a major decision is going to have to be made. Mitch McConnell freezes a second time during a Kentucky press conference. I'm Tyrone Bowman. This is Tyrone Bowman Tonight.
What are your thoughts on running for re-election in 2026?
What are my thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
That's
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026? All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute. Senator Benny.
that's awesome. Come with us. Okay.
Somebody else?
They're going to need more than a minute. According to the Wall Street Journal, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell froze and felt silent during an appearance before the press Wednesday. The second such incident this summer prompted new concerns about whether the Kentucky Republican can continue to lead his party in the wake of a fall earlier in the year. The latest incident occurred as McConnell, 81 years old, was taking questions from reporters in his home state. When he was asked if he planned to run for re-election in 2026, he stood motionless for about 30 seconds. McConnell's office said the senator paused because he felt momentarily lightheaded. An aide said that McConnell feels fine, and as a prudential measure, the leader will be consulting a physician. McConnell made a round of calls to Senate allies following the incident, and his office didn't release any other details on his condition. Earlier this year, McConnell fell at a Washington hotel and suffered a concussion and broke a rib. When he returned to work, he resumed his regular schedule, but concerns intensified on July 26 after he froze for about 20 seconds while delivering remarks at a press conference. At the time, McConnell said he was fine. A decline in McConnell's health could have implications for Republicans in the Senate as well as the functioning of the chamber, particularly in times of heightened partisanship in Congress. McConnell is the longest-serving senator in history, having driven the GOP's legislative and political strategies for more than 16 years. McConnell has a serious problem, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, whether they want to say it or not. Trying to hold on to power at the expense of someone's health, it is insidious, inhumane, and it makes no sense. And if this were President Biden, who is in the same condition, you all would have been calling for his resignation, impeachment, and retirement by now. McConnell has been central to passing Republican priorities such as the GOP tax overhaul in 2017 and confirming conservative justices to the Supreme Court. He has also worked with Democrats on knotty issues such as raising the nation's borrowing limit, as well as funding the government, and supported President Biden's bipartisan infrastructure package. And might I add, he was also instrumental in attempting to derail the presidency of President Barack Obama for 8 years. Biden, who served in the Senate for decades, expressed concern for McConnell on Wednesday. We have disagreements politically, but he's a good friend, he said. Whatever. If McConnell were to step aside as party leader, there are several potential successors. Senator John Thune, a Republican from South Dakota, currently the Senate Republican whip John Corwin, a Republican from Texas, the former Senate Republican whip, and John Barrasso, Republican from Wyoming, the chairman of the Senate Republican Conference. A spokesman for Thune said Thune and McConnell spoke Wednesday afternoon, and the leader sounded like his usual self and was in good spirits. McConnell also spoke with Cronin and Barrasso, as well as Senators Shelley Moore, Capito, and Steve Daniels. Congress is in Congress is on August recess, and most senators won't return to Washington until after Labor Day. The initial freezing incident in July started fellow lawmakers and brought into the open lingering concerns regarding McConnell's health. At the time, Republican senators quickly rallied around him, saying they continue to have confidence in his ability to lead. Really? Let's look at this. Does this indicate a sign of confidence? Within the past year, McConnell has focused on protecting continued U.S. aid for Ukraine in its war with Russia, working to tamp down skepticism within his party about the cost to U.S. taxpayers, and arguments that the money would be better spent on domestic priorities such as border security. I'm going to leave it right there with this, and this speaks for itself.
What are your thoughts on running for re-election in 2026?
What are my thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
That's
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026?
I'm Tyrone Bowman. Never surrender, never quit.